Hello there. You've dreamt about your living abroad experience of maybe being in Mexico on the sunny beaches or in the rolling hills of the Tuscany, Italy. Maybe you like the big city life and the big hustle and bustle of Tokyo. That's all fantastic. But before you book your flight and pack your bags, there's a crucial thing that you need to consider before moving abroad. This can be really eye-opening. So today on Expats Toolkit, we are going to dive into how to budget for the initial move. I'm not talking about your living expenses. I'm talking about the expenses of getting from your home country to your new country. First things first, let me explain that this budget is just a generalization of the actual cost. As you go through this process, maybe some things you will need, some things you won't need. It's all going to depend on the situation and what country you're heading to. Let's begin before you ever leave. Let's talk about passport. If you don't have one, you're going to need to get one. If you have one, you need to make sure that you have more than 6 months left on the passport. Otherwise, you need to go and renew it. Also, you'll need to check the cost of a visa. Some countries require that you have a medical exam or vaccinations. You'll just need to do your research and find out, but this is also initial cost that you will need to do before you depart. Now you have that part finished. Now we're going to talk about just getting there. So you'll have to book your airline ticket. If you plan to only take luggage or extra luggage and not have items shipped, you'll want to find out what is the cost for the extra luggage and include that in your travel expenses. Your short-term accommodations might be an Airbnb or an apartment of some type. This also is a part of the travel expenses because this is an upfront cost that you'll need to come up with before you even get started in your life living abroad. The most important thing is that you get travel insurance. This will cover you from the time you leave your home country to the time you arrive into your host country. If you get sick or something gets lost, whatever the reasons may be, travel insurance is helpful to have. Just help you transition with some safety nets around you, so to speak. So we talked about before, we talked about getting there. Now we're going to talk about once you're there. So you've been there for a little bit, you found a place you want to move into, you'll probably be required to put down a deposit of some kind for your long-term accommodations. Now, every country is different. For example, here in Turkey, we were required to put a whole year rent up front. It's not really a deposit. You're just required to pay the whole year in advance. In Budapest, we were required to put down 2 months rent and 1 month deposit, which basically is 3 months of your contract. Every country is different, so you'll just have to figure out what that is. But that's something you need to take in consideration in figuring out your expenses. You'll also need to get local insurance, and this is health insurance, and you'll want to visit with someone that maybe an expat recommends to you that speaks your language because that will help right at first. Most likely, in order for you to get residency there, you're going to have to make that purchase. You can do your research online to find out more information about health insurance or local insurance that you'll need to get in order to stay in that country. It'll give you a pretty good information about pricing and that sort of thing. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video so that you can continue to receive information about how to move and live abroad. Now, if you decide to move your belongings, you'll need to include the cost of the shipment of those belongings. This can be quite costly, so I highly recommend not doing that. But if you decide you're going to move all your furniture and all your belongings by shipment, then you'll need to include that in your expenses. Don't forget to also include what it costs for customs, because even though you're shipping, those items still have to go through customs, which may be an additional fee. It might be included all in your package. You'll just need to verify that. If you decide that you're not ready to give up all your stuff back home, you'll need to include putting that into a storage unit, and therefore you'll need to figure out those expenses. Or if you're shipping items, but you don't have a home yet, put the items in, you're going to need to find a place to store them, which would be another additional cost to that process of moving. So just think about those things, check your prices, but you need to include that in your budget. I've created many videos about how to move and live abroad. There's several links below. Please subscribe to my channel and you'll find more information in this process of how to go through it and hopefully answer some questions that you have and make this process go much easier. Now that you're there, you're in the process of getting a long-term accommodations. You'll probably be doing a lot of eating out because you don't have a kitchenette. Make sure to include that in your budget and also include the initial setup of a kitchen pantry, let's just say. Once you do find your long-term residency, all those things are an upfront cost. Yes, you have groceries every month, but initially you have a pretty big chunk of money to spend upfront in that, getting all your groceries and your kitchen set up. If you're bringing a pet with you, you also have to consider your budget for that as well. And that's because sometimes some countries require a quarantine period for that pet. And so you'll need to make sure wherever he's staying, you've included that in your budget. And then once you get acclimated to the city, you'll want to get acquainted with a veterinarian and all of those good things. So those are things that you'll need to think about in your finances. Once you've established a long-term accommodations, you'll want to hook up all the utilities. Some of these places will require a deposit because you are a foreigner. That's something that you can ask other expats about and what they had to pay, but include that in your financial budget. Budgeting is not very fun, but it is so important in this process because I don't want to mislead you into thinking that, oh, it's just this much money a month. That's all you got to pay. Well, yes, but all this initial upfront money also is an extra in addition to your monthly costs. So you don't want to be hit by surprises, right? So I'm trying to help you get the most information you can to be prepared for that move. What we've learned is that when you initially get here, you'll find out that certain things are just not in your accommodations. And so you'll want to go to like a little home goods store somewhere to get that pot or pan that you like to cook things in, or maybe it's the sheets. You don't like the way the sheets feel. You'll want to get some better quality sheets. These are some added expenses up front that you'll need to put in your budget that may occur to you while you're setting up your new life abroad. Don't forget about the public transportation passes, because most likely at first, before you even buy a car, if you decide to do that, you'll be using the public services, whether it's taxi, Uber, train, whatever it is. Just make sure you allocate enough funds for that cost. One of the common things that we forget about when we working through our budget is staying connected. These are two things that are most common we don't think about. One is obviously we need to set up our cell phone, so that's going to require us to purchase a SIM card or have an eSIM service of some kind. Or you can keep your original phone and purchase another phone with a SIM card already in it. The other thing is that you'll want to get a VPN. And the reason why I say this is because you'll want to watch videos or TV from your home country or Netflix or whatever it is. And when you're in your foreign country, it will not allow you to sign in because it recognizes the IP address as not being in your home country. So if you want to log into your bank account or you want to log into your Amazon account, whatever it is, it may say, you're not logging in because it says your IP address is in a country they don't recognize. And this is all set up because of security issues. So getting a VPN, and I highly recommend getting a purchase VPN, not a free one, will allow you those accesses to those different entities. Purchase surge protectors and adapters to fit your electronics. Because granted, especially if you're from the United States, they're not going to fit any kind of European country plugs. And so therefore you're going to have all of that with you. Yes, you can buy them locally if you forget, but it's some additional cost that you're going to have to pay for either way up front. Don't forget, down below I've listed a link that you can download a budget form to use as a guide as you're going through this process of moving abroad. Here's some extra touches that need to be probably included in your expenses, and that is a virtual mailbox. If you plan to continue to have mail and you don't have a family or friend that you can forward your mail to, you're going to get a virtual mailbox. You're going to be making lots of duplicates of documents, especially passports, birth certificates, all these important documents. So these are some expenses that you're going to incur through this process of moving. You'll want to have a little bit of a fund set up for unexpected things. And this can be all kinds of things, like maybe your shoes fell apart and you need to go buy some new shoes, or you didn't bring your jacket and you need to go get another jacket. Have a little bit of fun set up for that as well. This is just a budget to set you up to get you from your home country to your host country. Some of these things are going to be useful to you, some of them may not. I wanted you to have something to start with so that you could build a good financial budget that helps you through this process. Remember, this is just a starting point. You can combine some of these line items when possible. Do your research, find out the best cost to these items, and that way you can make an accurate or close to accurate budget of your cost to move. By planning, you'll avoid all financial surprises, and you'll get to focus on the exciting experience of living abroad. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you continue to watch for more videos that I'll continue to make. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.